Greetings, everyone. It's Angelo Robles. And if you're live, it's a Friday. I don't do these often on a Friday, but I've been traveling so much for the last 6 or 7 weeks. I've not been quite as active digitally as I want to be. And there's so much building up and so much to talk about that it really is an exciting time. So I'm actually going to be doing this today, and I'll give a little bit of context and updates even towards the end. And tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, live at 11 o'clock, a variation of what I'm doing here, but probably, well, not probably, will be more immersive and interactive. But there's a lot to talk about and so much going on broadly within family offices and the integration of AI. Without further ado, if it's okay with you, I'd like to begin. I'm calling this the AI native single family office. I'm saying 2026. I probably should give the exact date because every couple of days it appears to adapt. Those of you that are newer, I'm Angelo Robles. Welcome to my at family office and SFO continuity. It's important to understand that AI will never be worse, never be weaker than it is this very second today. Kind of let that land a little bit. Whatever you think that AI can do right now, it's going to do more tomorrow, more next week, definitely more next month. And the floor keeps rising. There's no ceiling in sight. And in the last 2 years, something to me has fundamentally changed. AI has gone from chatting, which if you're great at it, can be very valuable, but to actually doing things. It used to be only conversation. You asked, it answered. You typed, it responded. Valuable, yes. Completely passive. That era is over. AI now thinks and executes. Here's an important comment. It replaces the intelligence above task, not the task below it, the intelligence, or coordinates with it. It reasons, it plans, it initiates. It can be, if you know what you're doing, it operates while you sleep 168 hours a week. It delivers completed work while you are doing something else entirely. This is a different kind of technology than what most of the industry is kind of still debating. What this means really for anyone, but let me focus on the family office. Blunt. Family offices could do more with less, better, and faster right now. End of story. One skilled operator with this architecture carries the output of what used to require a full team. But here's the part that I think most people miss. There can now be more family offices than ever for the exact same reason. Oh, I could get into lender versus the IRS outsourcing. There's a variety of reasons, but AI really makes it possible, making up for the fewer internal people needed per family office. The cost and complexity of running a serious family office just dropped by an order of magnitude. Families who can never justify building one before, well, they now can. Families who had to outsource everything, you don't anymore. The barrier to entry collapsed. Less internal people per office, sure. More offices in total, more sophisticated intelligence, more sovereignty, taking control, keeping it internal, more families pulling ahead. The pie is growing. Be optimistic. The structure is changing. And the operators who understand what is happening right now are the ones building kind of the future of the entire industry. I kind of call this the principles that matter. You need to be the most aggressive user of AI in your field. This is how you survive and for a time thrive in the world we are in now. It's not about being cautious. Cautious is a losing move for you as an entrepreneur, a family office, or anyone in finance. Caution is the family office still evaluating whether to subscribe to a chat bot while the family office next door is running agent systems against standing mandates around the clock. In the end, we all want job security. There is one thing for the executive, one thing that delivers job security now. You deliver on outcomes. You excel at outcomes and hopefully hit them ahead of schedule. Not tenure, not title, not institutional familiarity, not how many years have you been in the room. All nonsense. Outcomes. And the operator armed with AI delivers outcomes at scale and speed. The operator without AI, you just can't match. It's just math. It's not your fault. Which brings me to the principle underneath all of this. What you work on is 100 times more important than how hard you work. Every family office has finite hours, finite attention, finite capacity. The question is never how hard the team is working. Not to say that's not important. It is. The question is whether the team's hours are being spent on the work only humans can do, or on the work that a machine, very simply, a machine, now does better. Most family offices are structured to serve rather than operate. I mean, my 20 years in the business, hopefully it taught me nothing else but that. They are built around responsiveness, not really around outcomes. That has to change. The family office that has deployed this architecture is doing in hours what used to take days or longer. The knowledge work, emphasis, the knowledge work, which is a lot in the family office that consumes the majority, as I hinted at, of a family office's operational hours, can simply be automated. Some of you don't want to hear that. It's just a reality. This is about human plus AI advantage. Be an optimist. You don't get replaced, you get amplified. Like I said, AI allows a lean, skilled team to operate at a scale that required a multiple of that headcount. It's not a threat to the family office model. Like I said earlier, really, it's an expansion of it. Lower barriers to launch, leaner operations, more families able to build the infrastructure that was once reserved for only, in theory, a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000 or two of the largest families and family offices in the world. That is now blown up. It's an incredible time if you prepare. The net result is more family offices, not fewer, run by people who know how to master, well, leadership, practice management, but manage the tools that are available right now. The families moving fastest on this are, they're not announcing it. The advantage is in the information asymmetry. And the people holding that advantage, like I know I'm meeting with them, they're not giving it away. What looks like calm in your peer group is not evidence that there is no urgency. Oh, don't be misled. It is evidence that the families operating at the highest level are using this moment, not narrating it, which is exactly why I'm opening the door to this right now. And I'm going to get to kind of, at least briefly, kind of the stack and the AIs and resources. Here is the specific list, of what is already automatable at production quality, not in a future tense, present. Daily intelligence briefs, meeting preparation packages, regulatory filing surveillance, counterparty monitoring, document ingestion and extraction, correspondence drafting, due diligence compiling, portfolio performance synthesis. succession and dynasty intelligence, monitoring the knowledge, relationships, and judgment of the current generation captured continuously so it outlasts the person who built it. Family governance support. Actually, AI could be tremendous and gravely underestimated with that. Board minutes, council prep, policy, version control, distribution tracking, conflict resolution history, constitution maintenance, developing even things like mission, vision, statements, constitutions, tax and compliance monitoring, yet another one, security and threat intelligence, legal agreements and documentation, deck analysis and preparation, real estate and asset monitoring. This is not aspirational, and it's not going to go backwards. It's going to get better. Each of these is running in deployed family office stacks right now today. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether your entity or you as an entrepreneur, your multi or single family office is actually doing it, taking the initiatives. He's got a little bit of hair on him, I believe, but you all read about Matthew Gallagher, like Medvi, the company, September of 2024, $20,000 initiation, 0 employees, does Tim, AI created, ran the entire operation. Year one, what, 400 million in revenue, 16% net profit margins. His only hire was to be his brother, hims and hers, kind of in the same market, and what, 2,400 employees. We know about Jack Dorsey and Block going from 10 to 6,000. And basically, this is a trend, whether I like it or not, whether you like it. And I hear you if you're concerned about it. It's normal. These trends are not rolling backwards. The tools a family office has available today are more powerful than anything that even 2 years ago that Gallagher had access to. Way more powerful. Let's talk a little bit from a tech stack type perspective, kind of the hardware. Well, sovereignty taking control probably, well, starts at governance, but leads to hardware. No software conversation matters until this is settled. And yes, of course, it adapts all the time. I'm a huge advocate of the Mac Minis, currently M4, but that's adapting later this year. The Pro, I would max it out to the 64 gigabytes. Yeah, it's about $3K, but come on, you're a family office. I kind of call this the Vault Fleet. It's like part number one. It could run continuously, cabinet mounted, silent, and like I said, about 3,000. Mac Studio M4 Max, it's twice as much horsepower at least, depending on, again, the variation that you buy. Consolidated single machine configurations for maybe more hardcore media intensive roles. The MacBook Pro M5, they do have the M5 version now, really good. And for the MacBook Air, not quite as valuable if you're looking to go hardcore sovereignty. And by the way, to me, you really need to start with these Mac Minis. Well, let's see if we have time to get a little bit more into that. A little more hardcore would be the NVIDIA DGX Spark for families running kind of the heaviest inference workloads, legitimate edition, more complexity, and real probably engineering investment. Initially, you're probably starting with one Mac Mini. Inevitably, you're probably moving up closer to 5 maxed out. So I get it. In time, that could be, what, a $15,000 investment. Each with a defined, very siloed role. One machine to start, initially more of the orchestrator, 5 at full architecture, building out over weeks. The family that waits for the full fleet to be justified is giving families already running an additional 6 months of compounding that you will probably not be able to recover from, which is why starting right now, before we even get into the summer, is going to be so important. So the local models, kind of private intelligence behind your walls. Local means that the AI runs on hardware the family owns. inside your building, not someone else's cloud. So open weight models are going to be important playing into this. So the code is public. You download it, Ollama. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds now, or Hugging Face. You run them, you own them, you have no subscription, no one is watching what you're doing, and you're not training the program for peers and competitors to get better, or for them to raise their prices, or for them to say, we don't want you, we're going to cut you off. So this matters for a family office. Nothing leaves the network. You're not bleeding your IP. No data traveling to a vendor, which is what they are. No intellectual property bleeding out your family office every time your team does research on a frontier model like even Anthropic. Your counterparty relationships, your positions, your succession plan, your family dynamics. That is the information your adversaries would pay materially to access. This is why they should, at that level, never leave the building. This layer ensures that your hardware, your systems, your structure, and the better utilization combine sometimes of frontier, but especially open weight models, Gamma 4, Qwen 3.5, I could argue Hermes 3, GLM 1, Akimi, even DeepSeek. There's multiple ones that are very good, which for some of the more basic work and execution, they don't need to be quite as good as the frontier models. That being said, you need to be familiar with the frontier models and know where they could be applicable. Yes, they are the most capable AI in the world, the best of the best. They are the best for selective deep reasoning and the top layer of orchestration. All access is programmatic. So you're gonna, and now with Claude Opus 4.7, which is an excellent model for what I'm going to describe at OpenClaw, you're going to need an API, not through a browser, not through a chat interface. So here is kind of the Anthropic's clarification that is kind of non-negotiable. The Claude.ai, the consumer product, does not permit autonomous continuous agent operations. I know I'm getting a little deep into the weeds here. Sometimes you got to be thrown into the deep end of the pool. The use case sits outside of consumer terms. The Anthropic API under enterprise terms is the access model this architecture requires. So the Claude Opus 4.7, you're going to want to use as your orchestrator and selectively structure it and set it up. It's the highest reasoning capability. You got to budget for it seriously. Oh, or one day, I don't know if that's in a week or 6 months, Claude Mythos, the autonomous planning layer, that is going to be the most advanced publicly available AI ever. Many of you heard about that already. I do love Perplexity Computer, the $200 a month model. To me, it's non-optional how I use it for back and forth kind of battles and for also orchestration and double checking. I'll explain a little more a little bit later. So there are additional frontier models. Many of you heard OpenAI came out like, what was it, yesterday with ChatGPT 5.5. It's getting excellent reviews. Understanding Anthropic is so good, but OpenAI is playing some catch up. I got to give them credit. Grok 4 or Grok Heavy still has, I think, a way to go, but there are certain things where it's very applicable. Gemini 3.1, these are all good frontier models, but I would say what OpenAI is doing now in 5.5 and Anthropic at Opus 4.7 are effectively the leaders. But there are some things where the other two are actually a little better at. Not the time, we're going to go into it now. So many of you have heard of OpenClaw. Before we go further, let me tell you what OpenClaw broadly kind of is, because everything in the architecture that I'm describing, now there are other ways to do it, including with Hermes, but everything kind of runs through it. OpenClaw is a sovereign intelligence command system that runs continuously on your Vault, aka your Mac Mini, your maxed out Mac Mini hardware. Not a chat interface, not a software subscription. Please understand that. A coordinated architecture of AI agents operating under standing mandates, executing intelligence work around the clock without being prompted. It is not purchased. It is built by yourself, your correct select people around you and possibly your work with an AI integrations engineer on your hardware running inside your office or enterprise owned by you permanently. Now, Telegram is probably the highest bandwidth command interface or principal. You could speak naturally to it relative to your interactions with this. It is great. I've used it. It is so helpful. OpenClaw is the difference between a family office that reacts to the world and one that anticipates it. I think Hermes is making some great inroads. There are certain select examples where that could be the better option, but this is not that deep dive. My AI masterclass in June, which we'll get to, is. So I did mention I would come back to Perplexity Computer for $200 a month. It's just not optional. Every intelligent system has a confirmation bias problem. OpenClaw runs on mandates that you wrote. We're going to get to some of that shortly. Models that, let's go with the word your engineer chose, logic built to find kind of what you told it to find. It is extraordinarily good when it's working properly and you know how to properly set it up at finding what it is oriented to find. Maybe not designed to really challenge itself. Perplexity Computer, yes, a frontier model that touches the cloud, is structurally independent. Different model stack, different retrieval architecture. No knowledge of what your primary system has concluded. This is where that battle comes in. It's important. No stake in confirming your existing analysis. Perplexity Computer is purpose-built to control I would say its own Mac Mini, though it can run on any Mac device. Think of it as Perplexity's answer to a degree. I guess we'll get to Claude Managed Agents to OpenClaw. When OpenClaw and Perplexity Computer reach the same conclusion through independent architectures, then I guess you could say you have a genuine signal. When they diverge, you have something worth examining before it costs you. It's not redundancy, it's adversarial verification. It's the architecture ensuring its own blind spots are surfaced rather than compounded. And come on, at $200 a month against the decisions this architecture supports, it is the cheapest insurance in the entire stack. So now there are easier, less sovereign alternatives, and kind of maybe why they exist. Not every family office starts off as me discussing complete control and privacy, fully sovereign architecture. For the ones who do not, and I mentioned a minute ago, I would come back to this and how Anthropic is doing many awesome things. Claude Managed Agents, Anthropic's hosted agent infrastructure. Think of it as the Vault, your Mac Mini machine's cloud counterpart for families not yet running full on-premises infrastructure. You deploy real agents without building anything. It's fast. It's capable. We could debate whether it's as capable as a wonderfully engineered and worked OpenClaw. It's not. But for many of you, it may suffice initially. And no hardware requirement. The trade-off, damn, it's a big one. Data sovereignty. Now, Claude Cowork, only available in downloadable Claude desktop app. Once installed, you hand Claude multi-step tasks that touch, maybe initially, your real workflows. 3 features matter. And by the way, for many of you, I'm going to give you a tip. How about that? Knowledge work, finance, family offices. Why don't you track and write down for a day, maybe 2 or 3, exactly what the hell you do? I don't know. Let's say you start, of course, you start at 7 o'clock, don't you? And wrap up at 6 or 7 at night, sometimes longer. I understand. You'll find that really a job is a series of tasks. Why don't you understand that by breaking it down? Run that through with the proper prompting, your AIs, and see how AI can make it better, AKA more effective and more efficient, and how you could use AI for the redundancy of a lot of workflows in knowledge work. Now, initially, that may scare some of you. Oh my God, like, is 70% of my day things that could probably be equally as well done, if not better, definitely more efficient and faster by AI. But don't be afraid of that. Look at that as the opportunity of freeing up your incredible intelligence from a creativity perspective and doing some of the real human and other work that is still incredibly valuable. That exercise, I tell it to people, I really think they're afraid to do it for the reason that I noted. You winning this game with AI over the next year, 3 years, 5 years is not going to come from ignorance, from fear and ego, from putting your head in the sand. You are not going to win. And there is no one actively as somewhat of a thought leader in the family office world that is tying this together and simply doing it, living through it, and telling you the truth. And that is part of the problem. Back to the manage agents and some of the things within Claude, schedule tasks. Claude runs work automatically on a fixed cadence, I guess I would say. Daily searching, scanning Gmail and calendar for briefs, all of it. File access. Claude reads, edits, and works inside the desktop files and folders locally. Plugins like Skills on steroids. And I know I'm getting a little deep into some weeds here. Again, you got to be thrown into some deep end of the pool. Deep end, could be two ends of the pool. Skills automate to a single task. Plugins package multiple skills into a single role. And then, you have Claude, Cowork Dispatch. Very cool. Lets you run Cowork from your phone, leave the laptop running, prompt Claude to complete tasks from anywhere in the world. Kind of feels like a mini OpenClaw. These are legitimate tools that deliver real value. They absolutely are the bridge, not the architecture. Now, some of you are getting bamboozled by PSYOPs and other things, about everything, but relative to OpenClaw, even Hermes and others. I don't know. I wonder, is it to Anthropic and others' benefit to cast some doubt? So always do your own diligence and research. OpenClaw is not perfect. It is way more complicated than what I described compared to Claude. But you get complete sovereignty if you have the right hardware that is completely separate of anything else that you do. And how you structure it, how you do it soul and heartbeat, how you integrate it into execution is somewhat art and science. I could figure it out. You can too, but that could be greatly accelerated with the right resources. So just don't have anyone tell you all this nonsense, this PSYOP, that just stick to the easily available tools that you will likely overpay for. And not only that, again, am I the only one that wants privacy and control, that has proprietary data, that doesn't want to train the model to help others? That also just the fact that in theory, they could shut me off, shut me down at the flip of a switch. I don't like that. That's not how I want to be. No way, no how. So Claude managed agents versus kind of OpenClaw, kind of the real comparison. I mean, not really competitors. Well, they can be. Different positions on simply the sovereign spectrum. How about that? Managed agents, as I noted, it is simple. It's cloud hosted. Your workflows, your family's intelligence travel through Anthropic's infrastructure, period. For most families at most stages, I actually think for many of you that may very well be acceptable. For the principal whose information asymmetry is the core asset, where privacy and control matter, where they don't want to be shut off by the spigot, by the government, by a system. The exact vulnerability, the sovereign architecture exists to eliminate that. OpenClaw, there's others, but let's stay with that for now, is on premises and sovereign, permanently owned. The data physically cannot leave the building. Managed agents is a service. You kind of rent it. I don't know. Do you want to own your gold? Or do you want to pretend you own it and have a claim to it? OpenClaw is an asset. You own it. The trade-off for OpenClaw, it's real. Build time, engineering cost, and ongoing maintenance, and it can be a pain in the neck sometimes. The right sequenced, maybe manage agents now for immediate value, OpenClaw in parallel as the sovereign build becomes more viable and online, migrate the sensitive workloads home as the architecture matures. How about that? Manage agents are the bridge. OpenClaw will become the architecture. Now, again, I know we're getting a little deeper in the weeds than for a 30-minute that I really wanted to. Obsidian and Weaviate, well, they may be interrelated, but they're really not the same thing. And they're important when I'm describing the sovereign system that I'm noting because they're different layers. Obsidian is the human capture layer, local first, markdown knowledge management. That's very important, where principal judgment, relationship context, decision frameworks, and institutional thinking are captured and linked by humans. It connects to the AI stack via MCP. I know the fire hose is coming at you, so Claude can read and write into it, for lack of a better word. It's a very useful input tool. Has no machine query intelligence on its own. Weaviate is the machine query layer, a vector database on this Vault, your Mac Mini, or other computer system. Makes the digital memory vault queryable by meaning, not by keyword. It's very interesting. When the next generation asks what the founder thought, Elder, about entering a jurisdiction during regulatory uncertainty, they are retrieving intelligence by conceptual relevance across decades of accumulated thinking. Runs entirely on sovereign hardware, zero licensing cost. Without Weaviate, the Vault, the Mac Mini, it's going to feel like storage. With it, it comes alive. They're not alternatives because Obsidian captures, Weaviate makes it retrievable by meaning at machine speed. If you should do both, it's going to require some level of engineering, although really not that hard. If forced to choose one, Weaviate is not optional for a really, truly functioning sovereign wealth layer. Let me get back a little bit to OpenClaw, a little bit of kind of how it works. Standing mandates are the core unit. A standing mandate is not a scheduled, here's the key, not a scheduled report. It's not a cron job that runs a script. It's continuously active intelligence directive with defined trigger condition, sure. Escalation logic, yes. Output protocols, sure. Running against live data sources, making routine decisions based on what it finds and delivering to the principal or whoever has met the threshold for that attention. A regulatory surveillance mandate monitors filing databases, legislative calendars, enforcement registries, and regulatory commentary across defined jurisdictions. It does not deliver a daily dump. I wouldn't put it that way. It has encoded understanding of what is material to this family's specific exposure. It delivers only what crosses the threshold that was defined for the system. Everything below that threshold is file and available, sure, if asked for. Nothing below that threshold occupies whatever, the principal, the executive's attention. A counterparty monitoring mandate tracks every entity in the family's relationship and portfolio map, not just formal investments, advisors, service providers, co-investors, counterparties on open transactions, the extended intelligence universe. When something surfaces, a key person departure, a regulatory inquiry, a change in ownership, and adverse filing, the mandate has what we would call routing logic. Information goes to, quote unquote, what I define as the vault. Notable goes into the brief. Urgent goes to signal. The routing decision is made by encoded logic, not by a staff member who may or may not have seen it. A market intelligence mandate tracks the intersection of global developments within the family-specific investment thesis and portfolio exposure, not generic market news, specifically the signals that matter given what this family owns, what it is considering, and what is most likely to honestly create risk, but sure, also opportunity. Every mandate output is filed into the digital memory vault indexed in Weaviate. The architecture does not just produce intelligence, that's beyond important, but it also accumulates it. Now, again, the fire hose, and I think sometimes you need to be dragged, fighting and screaming into this within something like OpenClaw, where I do think an engineer would be of incredible value if they're good. The soul file. The soul file encodes the principal's values, priorities, communication preferences, decision frameworks into persistent context that every agent operates against. This is what makes the infrastructure distinctly that family's, not some generic employment. It's very important. No, not some template specific to you, to this family. The principal of your family office is really the one who writes it. The engineer helps to put it into practice and structure it within the technology. Now, there is something, and I know it's really called the heartbeat. The heartbeat is kind of continuous self-verification. The system checking itself every 30 minutes, silent when correct, and escalates immediately when anything deviates. I did mention the digital memory vault. Every analysis, every decision, every counterparty interaction filed locally, indexed as noted with Weaviate. The second investigation of a pattern the system has seen before runs faster and more accurately because the prior investigation and being able to retrieve that exists. This is what makes the architecture and the capability of what I'm describing sounds like superhuman because it compounds permanently. Now, I did mention one Mac Mini, one OpenClaw, deeper reasoning and orchestration, not really enough to get to the level where I think you're going to have to get at. You probably need to structure as one Mac Mini and OpenClaw per domain. So probably in my example, 5 across multiple domains. What would that look like? What I'll call Claw 1, intelligence gathering and surveillance, the system that monitors everything. Claw 2, portfolio and investment intelligence, positions, market sectors, material changes. Claw 3, relationship and counterparty management, kind of meeting intelligence. Claw 4, operational and compliance intelligence, regulatory filings, compliance calendars, blah, 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 document management. Claw 5, custom domain, a family business monitoring mandate, a philanthropic intelligence layer, whatever this family uniquely needs. Now, as if it probably is deemed by many of you not to be complicated enough. Boy, sovereignty does come at a price, doesn't it? There's something called Paperclip that coordinates kind of governance, all the above 5 or more, assigns objectives, manages agent hierarchies. That's very, very important. Enforces resource budget. So trust me, that's important too. Maintains the audit trail. Paperclip is the management architecture that prevents kind of AI chaos at the scale that I think the family office and really most any entity, if you want excellence, is going to require. Now, Hermes alone versus OpenClaw, some operators skip OpenClaw and just run on Hermes. Here is how they actually relate. Hermes strategizes, plans, and specs, but OpenClaw builds. It uses subagents. Hermes reviews and self-improves. They share memory through Obsidian that I mentioned earlier. So they always know what the other has done. Very, very important. This is how I think optimally both they coordinate, they work together. You maximize and get the full strength. If you pick only Hermes, here's what you get. I mean, likely from my experiences, a very smart agent, improved workflows, strong local intelligence. But do you really get a multi-user system? You get limited governance, and it is harder to scale across teams. It almost feels like one brilliant analyst, not half bad, but kind of working alone. Hermes alone is a component, at least a part of what Hermes does, being used as a system. It's way better than nothing and generally useful for specific workflows. I don't think at the moment, and things are changing, that it's a substitute for OpenClaw because it kind of solves a different problem entirely. Hermes executes what you tell it to execute. OpenClaw figures out more so what needs to be done before you thought you'd ask when it's working properly, and you set it up right. The family office that runs Hermes alone is for sure more efficient. The family office that runs OpenClaw, and preferably in coordination with Hermes, is operating in a different informational reality. It's better than one or the other, but I wouldn't totally discount OpenClaw because it's a little more complex and complicated just than having Hermes as your sole sovereign architecture. Now, the security case for sovereign architecture is for sure not theoretical. A family office, and by the way, a family office running cloud-dependent AI tooling has created a new attack surface at the exact layer where the most sensitive intelligence lives. You never thought about that. You only hear the negative things about an OpenClaw. Every API call carrying family data to an external endpoint is potentially an interception risk. Every cloud-hosted agent with access to email, calendar, documents, and financial systems is one credential compromise away from potentially complete institutional exposure. I could argue, if done right, OpenClaw addresses this at the architecture level, not at the policy level. The data does not leave the building because, well, it kind of physically can't. Air-gapped operations means no external network path exists for that data. There's art and science here in terms of how you set it up. Contrast this with a family running Cowork connected to core systems, managed agents processing sensitive documents, frontier model AIs and their APIs receiving unredacted family intelligence. These are legitimate tools. They're also real attack surface if deployed without sovereignty, architecture, knowledge, and the right time and dedication behind them. The sovereign build is not only about capability, it's about protecting the one asset capital cannot replace. Kind of once it's compromised. Now, I guess OpenClaw is the most powerful component in this architecture if done right. It could be the most dangerous if deployed carelessly, sure. Power and risk, well, I think you'll find they often scale together. Every family that builds this system needs to understand what can go wrong before it goes wrong. Kind of the silo problem. OpenClaw operates in an isolated intelligence environment. It reads, it monitors, it synthesizes, it delivers to, let's broadly call it principal or the family office. It does not have direct write access to core family office systems, or shouldn't, not banking, not custodians, not execution platforms, not legal repositories, not entity management, unless a specific governed and audited integration has been deliberately, carefully, and correctly built and approved. The failure mode prevents this. An agent misinterprets a trigger condition and takes an action in a live system at machine speed, could be before like anyone's even aware of this. That would not be good. So the governance rules silo OpenClaw from live operation systems at the infrastructure level, maintain and review standing mandates on governance, quote unquote, cadence, set hard resource ceilings in the before mentioned governance of quote unquote paperclip that agents cannot override, secure, and I would say rotate credentials, document everything as if the engineer who built it will not be there to explain it. The heartbeat, sure. I mentioned that earlier with OpenClaw. It tells you the system is running. Governance, just like in the real world practicality tells you it's running correctly. So again, I know this is coming at you like the fire hose. And I know many of you just like you don't care. You just don't think this is I don't get it. You're making a grave mistake as a principal, a rising family member, an entrepreneur, and for sure as an executive. I'm here to help you. So understanding some of the stack, the Mac Mini M4 64 gigabyte vault is kind of an anchor, and likely in time getting multiple of these. The MacBook Pro, the M5, really good. MacBook Air as needed, maybe more so for travel and light work. NVIDIA DGX Spark. There's other models that could get very expensive. For a small percentage of you, those are going to be a good fit, but for many, not right now. Local models via Olama, Gemma 4, Qwen, Hermes 3, GLM, Kimi that I mentioned, Llama, DeepSeek. Frontier models understand Claude Opus 4.7, what's coming up with Claude Mythos, at least eventually coming out. It seems like it's going to be incredible and probably cost a truckload of money. Claude managed agents, Claude Code. We didn't have time to get into that. OpenAI's ChatGPT 5.5, a incredible enhancement and improvement. Grok Heavy, Gemini 3.1, orchestration. OpenClaw didn't have enough time to get into Ed8n for workflow automation, paperclip for governance, agent coordination, MCP, kind of a connection layer, knowledge layer. I mentioned Weaviate, Obsidian, building tools, love Claude Code. A lot of the SaaS companies you're using now, they're toast sooner rather than later. You're going to create custom apps for you. Cursor, we didn't have enough time to get into. Replit for prototyping, understanding GitHub, Claude Cowork, Claude Dispatch I mentioned earlier. I didn't even mention Granola, kind of for meeting intelligence. There's a lot to cover here, which is why the AI Masterclass, we're almost there. The families moving with intention now, well, they're going to set the standard. Everyone else will spend years playing catch up and most will fail. The choices you're going to make now and in the next year to 18 months will determine the family office story that kind of you, principal or executive, inhabit. The architecture already exists. The tools exist. The path is actually rather clear. The remaining question is whether you are the one who's building it. If you are or desire to be, you got to join my private community, SFO Continuity, my first of multiple in-person immersive masterclasses. The AI Family Office Masterclass is where it begins this June 23rd and 24th in New York. 2 days immersive, bring your computer. You get the complete architecture, understand the hardware, the models, OpenClaw, Soulfile, Heartbeat, standing mandates, competitors, Hermes, everything. You think this is a fire hose? Wait till you come to that. But nothing beats in person over often 10 plus hours each day. The seats are limited. They're meant to be more roundtable-like. Even for my members, I don't want to have 30, 40, 50 people. That's not the immersive environment. And one of the reasons why I do multiple throughout the year. So, yes, you should go to angelorobles.com. You should become a member. It's all easily outlined on there. And that is how you get access to the hands-on, in-person, immersive in terms of what I'm doing. And by the way, much more than that, my 2 books, my AI Manifesto, where you got like a 2% version with me in the video today, my 10 things you could do with AI or should be doing with AI right now in your family office, my 850 question family office playbook, way more than just AI and tech. That's like 5% of it. My creating a top 1% family office, and all my private books, one of them over 700 pages. Yeah, well, what do you expect? Dedicated to members only. We just wrapped up a month ago, 4 days in Palm Beach. I got 2 significant days in New York, other than the masterclass mid-September. I'm going out to the Milken, hosting various lunches out there. I do breakfast and lunches around the world through the year, including Vienna, including other locations around the world, Mexico City, etc., and some even in U.S. territories like Puerto Rico. It's a really busy time. It's a combination of proprietary content, which you can't find elsewhere, on geopolitical, on macro investing, and for sure AI, but also how to create an SFO, how to practice management, the infrastructure, integrating people, technology, and systems. Far deeper than only AI, but AI is starting to be a horizontal layer in all of this. And programming, peers, there isn't a block of a month and a half, 2 months where there's not something in person going on, often just weeks apart. So we're in the spring. That the date that I noted, June 23rd and 24th, is within kind of as of today, 2 months away. Just imagine joining, getting those private books, having some onboarding and conversations with me, getting the pre-head start to the masterclass, securing your spot in New York, June 23rd and 24th, where I have the best instructors in the world. One of them that I think is on this today, his name is Sam. He is incredible. So sure, I take a role in it, especially pre and post, and share what I'm doing with Mac Minis, OpenClaw, and Hermes. But these 2 plus other instructors are incredible, real family offices, living through the things you're thinking about and talking about in finance, in multi and single family offices. It is here right now. Imagine then how you'll be after that on June 23rd and 24th, and how you have it in you to want to then run with it and take it from there. You will enter into the heart of the summer towards the end, I promise you, ahead of 99, probably 99.9% of people in finance and family offices. The books, the pre-planning, the masterclass, and the post. You just have to have that in you to desire this. If you don't, I think you're okay. Kind of now, you'll start to slowly fall behind. If you're top 1 or 2%, you'll probably have a couple of years left. You will be steamrolled within a couple of years. I'll be steamrolled. Knowledge work, as Alexander Wisnergross said at my event in Palm Beach, is toast. I may disagree with him a little bit on some of the timelines. So work with AI. There'll be an explosion in the world of finance and family offices. They'll just be leaner, doing more with less, better, and faster. But there is going to be tremendous opportunity. Do you think a principal is going to hire you when you're being fearful, being somewhat ignorant, and letting ego get in the way? Or someone who has the same capability, the same level of ethics, and is going to be extremely AI fluent? In a world of 24/7, 168 hours a week, with some of the things I spoke about today, which as a 60-year-old, if I could learn without a tech background, you can do it too. And we're going to save you a massive amount of time, headaches, and capital. All things that I spent, and much of it I just threw down the drain. I think the big part that many of you are missing, oh, Angelo, but even you said this is getting a little easier as time goes on. Let me just wait 6 months or a year. You're missing out on the edge you're going to get right now, the mindset, how it's going to play out with you, and the compounding of knowledge. So yes, I am talking about this with passion. It's something that I sometimes tend to do. I know that because I believe in it. Because there's no one else in the family office world who's talking about it and living it, and broadly, even the world of finance, the way that I am. And I'm presenting to you the opportunity. Like I said, all that I provide with membership in my intelligence and strategy community called SFO Continuity, all up on angelorobles.com. And at this very moment, securing your spot on June 23rd and 24th. If I got to bump up to a little bigger room for 15, 17, I will. Other than that, you'll have to wait to the second one, probably early August, and the third one in the fall. But that waiting of 3 or 4 months may mean a huge difference in what I said in mindset and compounding. And isn't there something psychological that I'm going to get prepared now in the spring, and when the official summer just about literally begins that third week in June, I'm then immersed in that masterclass, and then I come out of it heading into July 4th. About 10 days after the masterclass, you are going to be so far ahead of everyone else. So far ahead. And then you got all the summer to iterate, to involve your rising generation, to create entrepreneurial ventures, to enhance your family office. And you'll come out of this after Labor Day so far ahead. Yeah, this is my passion. The single family office specifically, and broadly the family office, and even broader than that, the world of finance, is my love. It's my passion. It's the one where I put in decades of work, where I think I have a skill set for. Remember, skills have utility. But the areas around AI and how it's enhancing everything, it's frustrating when 70% Americans poll as basically being afraid of it and finding it somewhat useless. And the opposite in China, the opposite. 70% look at it as, this is great. How do I become a sponge and absorb it? How am I going to work with it? How am I going to be an employee that is priceless and commands whatever I want? How am I going to create companies? Is this the mindset that we want to have as Americans and people in the West? We are going to get crushed, a word that I used, steamrolled by China if we don't pick up on this. The whole messaging, the whole political infighting, very disgusting and frustrating here. Very. Be the best that you can be. And if you're in the world of finance and broadly family offices, this is it. This is your time. And for some of the timing that I noted, this spring and summer, go to angelorobles.com and join. My instructors are set and they are incredible. This is going to be the time. I just updated my ebooks. And of course, the day that I do that, 5.5 drops. So I might have to. And there's other things. I don't want to. This is going long enough. I'm doing a shorter variation of this tomorrow morning live at 11 o'clock. It'll be, yes, for those of you that didn't watch it live, it'll be a little repetitive. I want that one to be more interactive. I sometimes get a truckload of text and DMs on these conversations, and sometimes the group is very quiet. There are some things that came in. Okay. Yeah, that's like, I guess the reality, never really on LinkedIn, but I guess most of the people on YouTube, you're interesting. Some of the questions is like, what is the cost of this setup? Maybe the wrong question. The right question is, how much money am I losing every day by not integrating this and being a part of it? Do you have a computer? Are you fluid on the frontier models? Do you know how to prompt? Do you know what context window and temperature is? Do you know the difference between the models? Are you making them battle? If you're just putting in a sentence into a prompt, like, you're going to be disappointed. Are you using Anthropic's Claude Code, the new design feature? Have you upgraded and dabbled in Perplexity Computer? What are you doing in the new ChatGPT? Are you understanding some of the visual and design elements, some of the features of Cowork back to Anthropic? If I could learn it, you could too, but you have to have it in you to put in the time. In 1 month, in what I described, there's no reason why you can't be a top 1/10 of 1% user from that perspective. I don't even give a damn if your IQ is 90 or 95. You could. You could. Now, if you want to get a little more fancy, the $600 Mac Mini, which you'll have to order, you're not going to be able to really run local models on it. But what I described as the orchestration layer tying into, say, an Anthropic 4.7 API, that technically will work. And again, there's a little nuance in the details that we don't have enough time to really grind into. If you're a more significant investor or family office, you're probably looking at 15 to 40,000. If you want to go hardcore on multiple Mac Minis and other technologies. If you're a really significant family office with a built-out team, institutional knowledge, and have a lot of things, that may be closer to 75 to 150,000, and you're probably going to be better off having an AI integration engineer probably on board, probably 2 to 400K for that. So hopefully that answers part of your question, but don't have that be an excuse. You can start, you have a computer, you have a couple of dollars to throw around for some of the frontier models. Your computer may have enough room for a smaller open weight model, so you can experiment on control and self-sovereignty. So you could do this very, very broadly initially to get more comfortable on a cost-effective level. Every time I'm reading a question, every time they release a model, they I mean, you said type, but I think hype. Yeah, there's some truth to that. I guess you're also calling me one of those idiots. You're sometimes partially correct. Mythos and David Sachs mentioned this. Dario at Anthropic does have a way of kind of hyping things up, but suppose he's right this time. And yeah, like, I'm sorry, when I do Kimi open weight, when I do GLM and some of the latest models, they're damn good. 4.7, maybe I was slightly disappointed in Claude that came out, about a week ago. My little experiment with OpenAI's ChatGPT 5.5, I've been pretty impressed. So I think there's a grain of truth to what you're saying, but you're being a little cynical and playing the victim and being that way. I wrote Billionaire Mastermind, effectively my interview with 100 billionaires. There's not one, zero, that really had that mindset. There is a saying, boy, I'm getting off topic here and I have to clean it up a little bit. Weak people think the world is against them. Strong people don't give a you know what if it is. And you know what? The world is kind of against you a lot. Have to fight through that, my friend. And it's hard. It's knocked me down many, many times before. You have to get up, learn from it, and move forward. Yeah, some people are noting Anthropic's not doing too well. Anthropic is a wonderful company, great leadership. I may disagree with them on some political issues, but let's not let that get in the way. Are they making every right decision relative to OpenClaw? I'm getting into the API thing now and how ChatGPT appears to be playing some catch up. So good. As a consumer, I want there to be incredible competition and I want more. But do not. And again, you could get access through this Anthropic with API. Just if you don't know how to structure it, and depending on how you're doing deep reasoning, and if God forbid you're executing with it, you're going to maybe spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month. You have to know what you're doing. Sam notes, Sam, I sent out my updated book yesterday and poof, or 2 days ago. And yesterday, 5.5 drops. And like, if I do nothing else but update my AI books and some direct content to family offices, it may literally be like every week, like a 40-hour-a-week job. So I have to be a little bit selective. And oh my God, when Mythos comes out, let's see, like what is that going to do? And how much is that going to cost? So again, everyone, I'm going on here long enough. Go to angelorobles.com, simply become a member, and you got to be a part. If you're in finance or anything touching the family office world, you got to be a part of my masterclass. And that's what membership entails. I will be doing Saturday morning at 11. It'll be a little bit like this, but some little different ideas that I have around it. I have a full week next week. Maybe I'll do 2 programs then digitally. And then I'm off to LA. So my members know I'm hosting a series of events around the Milken, some private lunches, dinners, roundtables, soirees. I'm going to be busy. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then I start to come back and settle in a little bit more to the greater Northeast and a little bit of Wyoming for about 3 to 4 months to come. Obviously, as you know, the AI Masterclass in June. I will be doing another one in August. I kind of like that first week of August actually is a really good time as well and can get you absolutely prepared heading into Labor Day. So once we're after the summer, like I said, about June 23rd and 24th, heading into July 4th, like you are ready. You are good to go. And then I have a lot of trips to Europe and around the world in the fall and hosting Cayman Islands as well, Vienna, etc. And then December through usually late March, April, I'm very active in Palm Beach, Miami, and this upcoming year, a little bit on the West Coast in Florida as well. And all the digital things I do privately for members. There is simply a lot going on. It's an exciting time. Thank you all so much. Reach out to me, Angelo at angelorobles.com. You already know the website, angelorobles.com already. It's all good. You could always text me 203-570-2898 or DM me across the social medias. Thank you all so much. And for some of you, I will see you live tomorrow, meeting Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Thank you so much.